It's Dr. Lori. I'm at the Orange Tree Antique Mall in Winter Park, Florida, outside of Orlando. We're going to talk about Pyrex. Some of the earlier Pyrex, bright colors after World War II, the 60s for the most part. And these are the characteristic ones that every, homeland mom had. Pyrex, of course, with its very characteristic mark. Notice the capital letters. So yes, the capital letters are very important. You will see later Pyrex, it has a different mark. This particular Pyrex is in beautiful condition. So let's talk a little bit about condition and a little bit about color. Brighter colors indicate the prosperity after World War II. So that's the prosperity after that Americans are experiencing after 1945, 46, when most of the GIs are coming home, into the 1960s. We have this. So here are 3 pieces of this very bright yellow. I want you to look at the quality. I want you to look at the condition, because that's why these prices are what they are. So a lot of times you'll see me and I'll be talking about pieces and people will say, oh my gosh, no, that's not a price that I can, that's really, really high. That's a very high price. Oh, no one's going to pay that. Well, let me tell you, when it's this quality, this condition, this is like new. Like nobody touched it. Nobody even looked at it. It's been in the cabinet since the 1960s kind of thing. So they want $125 for the 3-piece set, but the set is perfect. So, I think this is a little bit low for this 3-piece perfect set. So I think this set is probably worth closer to $175 rather than $125. And it's the 3-piece set. It's the everyday set you're going to use forever. And then you're going to hand it down and your kids are going to use it forever. So that was the idea of Pyrex. And Pyrex has to do with, of course, sometimes called fireglass. Like pyromania, Pyrex. So the idea of fireglass was it could withstand everything. And that's what's important about it. The color is very bright and sunny, and the bright sunny colors are in design of that time period. So you're going to see big bright reds and you're going to see bright blues and yellow, but mainly those bright colors. As you move through the decades with Pyrex, and we're so lucky because we have a whole example here, we have lots of examples here, you're going to start to see some changes with respect to this. So first of all, pink, really characteristic, the pink gooseberry pattern, very characteristic of newlyweds, newly married, starting up their homes, this kind of thing. So these also are in excellent condition. You can see here again, these particular forms, that onion, see that onion form? That onion form goes back to early German decorative dinnerware. So the idea with Pyrex was it's a big innovation, but the fact that it's a big innovation, it would match if you put it on your table next to your Meissen blue onion dinnerware. So you're seeing what's contemporary and new and modern, and you're putting it next to something that is, in fact, classic. So that was one of the things they were thinking of when they had these designs introduced. That onion, while it's pink, it's sort of the opposite of the blue onion that you all know from dinnerware. So that's one of those examples. The other thing that you're seeing here is this price here is $395 firm. Here, I want to show you this tag. It says pink gooseberry Pyrex, set of 4, mint condition. I would agree with all of that. $395 firm. That's a little high. Now granted, it's in very good condition. I agree with that. I wouldn't say mint because mint is it's still in the box. Nobody touched it. Nobody took it out of the box. But I would say in excellent condition or near mint condition. But $395, that's a little high. Now you're thinking, oh my gosh, it is. For you to actually do that and resell it, that's a little bit high. I would put this probably just around $300 for these 4 pieces. But it's a very good and very unusual to see all these pieces together. So sets increase value. As we move on, you're going to also see the changes as we move toward different decades. So you've got this green, which is, it's the idea of the concentric bowls where you have a set of bowls. So you can serve in them, you can store in them. But these particular bowls are a little later than the characteristic set. The characteristic set of these bowls is not this mossy green. This mossy green is introduced in the late 1960s, early 70s. What's interesting about that is the mossy green comes in during a time of recession, a time when economic profiles and economic times are lower, right? So you want to think about that. The color will tell you a lot about the date or the decade. People don't always recognize that. They don't realize that actually the design is telling you when it's from. Oh, sure, you could look it up, but you got to make sure you got the right source and you got the right information. The color will help you. The other thing that's very indicative, what you see here, for example, is this. So this is 195 firm, and this is, of course, the primary colors. Now, these are primary colors. The red, first of all, you don't have red, you have orange, so that's not a primary color. Let's get our colors right. Red, yellow, blue are primaries. These are secondary colors, orange and green. And this green is a mossy green, and that green is not a primary color. It's a secondary. So this particular piece and this set, which they want almost $200 for this set, yes, in very good condition, but this particular set, again, doesn't command that. So here's the mark. Again, you've got your nice capital letters, your very clear Pyrex mark, and they all have that mark. Make sure the marks match. The marks have to match in order for you to make sure you have a set. You don't want marks from one time period, the same object from one time period, and then a different mark from another time period, but it looks like it's a set. So they are giving you full sets. That's a big deal, and that's why they are thinking they can command these kinds of numbers. But at 195, I think this is more of a 150 for these 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. And this is based on sales records where similar pieces have sold recently. So it's not just numbers thrown around. And even this person, this seller, is not just throwing around numbers. They figure, hey, I'm going to get a set. It's in very good condition, excellent condition even. So the number's a little bit higher. Maybe they think maybe they're getting ready for a sale, so they know that they have to factor in whatever the antique mall has with respect to their overall sales. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with respect to that, but that could be why this has increased a little bit high. But okay, let's continue with talking about what's what. The Cinderella pattern, a lot of people recognize this particular pattern. This pattern is very desirable and sometimes called, of course, associated with the Amish or the Pennsylvania Dutch, the Ohio Dutch or such. And you can see here the sheaves of wheat, the roosters, and this pattern, very desirable. Here are some figures. Those are characteristic, of course, of the Amish figures that we usually see on these. So the mark is here, and I'm showing you these marks. They're all about the same mark because they're all about the same time period. Pyrex also uses these colors that are popular in these time periods. So you're seeing by the 1960s this teal come into widespread use in a modern style. So it kind of unites the idea of classical imagery for the home with, of course, a modern, innovative kind of material. Pyrex was that. And also modern forms, like look at this form. This form does a lot of things. It gives you a handle and also a spout. Notice how much bigger this handle is than this small spout. So you can actually use this for serving. You have a handle so you don't burn yourself, and there goes the spout. You can just pour it. They were smart in the design, and that's why these particular brands have staying power, because they're smart with respect to the design. It's what everybody wanted. Okay, so excellent condition, full set. Remember, that's what we're dealing with here, which is really pretty great. This says set of 4, and this says 295 firm. So this person is not moving because they figure, hey, I've got the full sets, and that's what I'm doing. 295 for this is high. I would say this set is going to be worth about 275. So not sky high, but they're close. Also notice here's this green again. I don't know if you can see back here, but here's this green again. I will tell you, and it's funny when you see these types of pieces. As you all know, I grew up in the 70s as a kid of the 70s and 80s. And one of the things that was a big thing in clothing design, even for little kids, was this contrasting coloration. So you'd have a top that was green daisy flowers on a white background, and you'd have like a skirt that was a white daisy on a green background. So this is very typical of the 1970s. The other thing that is the color of the actual bowl. That green is very typical of the 1970s, particularly the mid-1970s. So you're seeing that as well, that kind of mossy green. You remember it in appliances too, and here's the mark. You remember it in appliances. We used to call that green avocado green. There was also a copper tone, kind of reddish color, a rust color. So what you're seeing is that coming into these designs. No longer do you see the bright, bright yellows of the 60s. No longer do you see those bright reds of that time period. So you're starting to see this. Again, a set of 4, Beautiful condition. I don't think anybody touched these. I do think obviously they're not mint because they're not in the box. So the set does not bring the same that others do. This particular set says, you know, it's a daisy set. It's a set of 4. I hope you can see 4, but I'm trying to be careful as I move them in and out. 3, see it? And there's the daisy. 4 is the big one. Remember, and I mean, it is still, of course, oven proof. Can go in the refrigerator after it was in the oven with some saran wrap, right, or plastic wrap. And that's a little bit high too. This particular set, I would say around $200. Here in the back and here in the front, you're seeing the same set, which is the Apple Orchard set. And the Apple Orchard set is also a Pyrex set of 4. And there we go with the very traditional fruit motif. You know, fruits and flowers always in the kitchen. Again, full set, perfect condition. So this is not what you see everywhere. If you're looking around and you're thrifting, you're looking for these pieces, you're picking one from here, you're picking one from there, and it's difficult to get a full set, and it's difficult to get a full set all in the same condition, which is why this person is saying, hey, you know, I've got the stuff and I want the cash for it. So here's the mark. Now, you're going to probably be surprised by this next price because this next price is actually a little bit low. This is your bargain in the Pyrex. $89 is what they want for this set, and it's a 4-piece set. And the Apple Orchard is not as popular. Why? First of all, it has a 2-tone factor. It was not as popular as the Amish. It was not as popular as the Cinderella. It was not as popular as the daisies. Not as popular even as the plain pieces, just one color burst kind of thing. But these are not as popular, but they're very indicative of the 1970s. Muted colors means that we have a stop or a recession or a depression in our economic times. Think about when you were in the gas lines in your car, the gas crisis of the 1970s. So this is all of those muted colors that relate to downtrodden in times when you don't have a lot of money. When you have a lot of money, everything's bright colors. When you don't have a lot of money, everything is, in fact, these types of colors. So that's actually the best deal, if you're looking for the best bargain here. That's a $125 set for 4 pieces. They only want $89 for it. And it is in perfect condition, and it is the complete set. More to come from the Orange Tree Antiques Mall.